You work so hard. You show up every day. You do what's expected of you. But deep down, you know the truth. One paycheck shouldn't decide how your life turns out. But what if your evenings meant progress? What if your weekends built freedom? What if your laptop became more than just a screen? This isn't about quitting your job. It's about giving yourself options. While others crawl, you start building. Quietly, consistently, and on your own terms. No pressure, no guessing. Just a clear system you can run after work, before work, or whenever life gives you a turn. That's what Goldmine on hustlesafrica.com is for.
Tuesday.
Haikuzo makasi ni watafute uongozi pamoja wasitafute.
Kweli una maana gani? Una maana wewe ni binadamu ya mavi ya kuku.
Nguruwe kujikanga na mafuta yake na Afrika itakwisha.
We cannot say that as ODM we just want to be there. We want power.
Na mifugo yetu harambe. Na serikali yetu tukufu harambe.
I, Kithure Kindiki,
do swear that I will always truly and diligently serve the people of Kenya and the Republic of Kenya in the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, that I will diligently discharge my duties and perform my functions in the
position inababili. Tunataka hiyo ichukuliwe. Tumesikia ODM wamekuja sana. Si ODM wamekuja sana. Wewe useme yako tuna divide terasere.
Mambo ya fujo, mambo ya furugu ambayo ndio watu ambao hawana sera, hawana mwelekeo watajaribu kutumia nguvu kwa sababu imefika wakati wa siasa hawana nafasi.
Mimi nataka kukumbusha watu ya upinzani, mambo ya mvua ama drought inaamuliwa na Mungu. Nyinyi ambaye mnakula mnashiba, msifanyie siasa mambo ya drought katika sehemu ya northern part of the country. Yao ni kuongea, hawana agenda, hawana mpango, hawana sera, hawana mali ya kwenda, ni maadui ya development katika nchi.
All right, hello there, people of the internet. My name is Oduor Jagero, and I hope that sound is working. Hello there, people of the internet. Welcome to Political Headache at 7:30. As we have always agreed that we are going to be the Englishmen and we are going to be sticking to time. Today we are talking about Kithure Kindiki, because a lot of people are saying, is he going to be chosen as the running mate for Mr. William Ruto come 2027? That's a question that I want to, ask Mr. Umudio to answer. I want Odhiambo to answer. Odhiambo, I want to welcome you to the program this evening.
Thank you.
Your women are very happy that you are here. Your brothers are happy that you are here. So I want you to say hi to the people of the internet and tell them what is in your mind this evening.
Amazing. Good evening, viewers, and I'm happy to be here, of course. It's another good evening to discuss the future of Kenya, and here we bring it to you how raw it gets without filters and from an analytical perspective. Of course, sometimes with biasness, but mostly today I swear I'm going to be very, very objective because Ochuka is around.
You're going to be very, very objective.
Very, very objective.
You don't want to be. You respect the man, the professor himself.
Ochuka is a fellow Don.
Fellow Don.
Yeah, I left the Donship in 2019.
Okay.
He's a continuing Don.
All right.
Yeah.
You just don't respect me because you think I'm a heckler.
No, I do respect you, of course.
And a villager.
Olembobo is.
For us, we know that we are orphans, we are hecklers, we are villagers. We don't ask for respect anymore. Ochuka, how are you doing, my brother?
Very well, sir. How are you?
I'm all right. How is it going?
It was a pretty chilled evening. I'm excited to have this conversation with our viewers. Please welcome. We welcome you to our fireplace.
Okay, great. May I welcome people of the internet? People of the internet, I want to welcome you very much. If you're joining us, please, thank you very much. We do not take it for granted that you always collect yourself here around our fireplace to talk to us, to talk with us about the issues that are affecting our country. I want to welcome Waziri 317. Waiting to digest the political meat. Thank you very much. Kevin Owaga is here already at number 3. Hello, people of the internet watching from Doha, Qatar. My salams to Jagero, Udhiambo Tieno, and Mwalimu Ochuka. Thank you very much. Sylvester Mboya is saying, Oduor Jagero, convey my felicitations to Odhiambo Tieno and Mundalo. Very incisive and knowledgeable team. Thank you very much. Although Mundalo is today, I saw him having in a very good place.
Yeah, in a Mercedes.
In a Mercedes, enjoying.
Somewhere on a cliff.
Government apologies. Odhiambo Liners is saying, waiting for the political animals. Thank you very much. Derek is saying, hello, political animals. Thank you very much. Owino Musingo is saying, Musingo Gigi watching from Gaborone, Botswana. I don't know how you pronounce that, but I think that's how it was pronounced. Naseke is saying, good people of the internet, hello, Jagero, Odhiambo, and Ochuka. Always a pleasure to tune in and stay up to date on matters of this country. Waiting to hear Vile Kindiki anaenda kukaangwa. Okay, I don't know whether I have nimepita mutu. But leo sound iko sawa Jagero, Mr. Andrews. Thank you very much. We are always struggling to have this sound, this mics working, especially that mic where Ochuka is, the white ninja over there. It's always very troublesome. All right, really can't is saying, hello there, people of the internet. Really can't, you sent me a message that you're already in the country, in Nairobi, and you are going. He said that he's going to buy for us a mic. So we are waiting. Odhiambo's girlfriend in America also said.
Scandalous.
It's very scandalous.
No. There's a woman you said that is going to buy us a mic, and you said it is going to be.
She's near game.
She's near game.
Yes, call her near game.
Nyargame, thank you very much for joining us today. Somebody is saying, hello, people of the internet watching from Meru. Locked in from Meru, proud child. Where is our baby doll?
Teddy bear.
Teddy bear said, today you are talking about another party. Unfortunately, I'm not going to join. I've got a meeting with the party leader.
Teddy bear.
Ochieng Elisha listening from Kisii, thank you very much. We have given you Kindiki for free. Buy one, take one for free. Jagero, talk about zoning. Zoning is something that I think we talked about it here. But
we'll still touch it anyway.
We can
revisit
we can talk on it. I want to play the video where I've just sent you now. I don't know if you can play it. There's a video, but just a minute. We want to deal with political temperature. And the political temperatures are 3 that we want to deal with. There is storm over voter registration at IEBC. The IEBC recently found itself at the center of a major controversy following bombshell revelation regarding the integrity of the National Voter Register. This takes us, Odhiambo, to what Muturi was saying.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
I think it's a good thing. I want you to open my Facebook account, then go to my wall, and then look at one of the posts I posted there. It has the history of that thing.
Which one? There is a post on Facebook.
One of the most recent ones.
Oh, really? Today?
No, about 3 days ago.
Oh, yes.
Did you remember reading it?
Yes, you talked about IEBC actually. Let me go there and read it.
So I can answer you based on that.
Okay.
Because my hand is directly in that cookie jar.
Your hand is directly in that cookie jar.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's have a look at that IEBC thing. Here it is. The ghost of voters past and why IEBC chair is right on registration of persons registered before 2012. This is before 2012 is actually getting into Kibaki's domain.
Right.
Correct? Because in 2017, while most people were arguing about manifestos, my cousin, a man who speaks fluent computer systems forensics, was staring at a screen like he'd just seen a ghost. Okay? Actually, he had seen about 2 million of them. He told me the official KPMG audit was about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. Okay? Where I want to go to directly to the point. Where is the point?
Go to the point down there. You'll find it somewhere.
The Ghost Brigade. We found 92,000 deceased persons who were still on the register. Apparently, rest in peace doesn't apply during an election cycle. The mystery men, 170 voters had ID numbers that the National Registration Bureau had never heard of. They were basically political hallucinations. Then there were the double agents, 264 records had duplicate IDs, passports, or names that were literally just numbers. Imagine a voter walking up to a booth and saying, hello, my name is 7, and I'd like to vote for my favorite candidate.
And they vote.
Okay? Then there was the magic number. Okay? So that is the situation that is going there.
So what happened?
Okay.
In this, because in 2016, that's when I came into the back room of national politics.
Okay.
And because my cousin is a computer systems forensics person. He understands data systems. He looks at it and he will tell you that there's a problem here, and he can run audits on a data system. He did share with me, because by then I was working for the governor of Kisumu. He did share with me something that was very interesting for him, and because he knew that at that time I had a relationship with Mama Ida, professional relationship, of course, he did ask me to pass the message upward. Immediately, what I did was to reach Mama Ida and inform her that, hey, there's something going on with the computer system that we're going to use for 2017 election. And immediately I did approach Professor Okeda, who was my professor at Maseno University. Professor Okeda is one of the best data people or computer professors in Africa, if I could say. Professor Mundi Okeda then brought in another fellow, whose brother was one of the people who was sitting high at IEBC at that time. And we did quickly combine the three of us, plus my cousin, and the other person who I told you off camera. And we went to look at what my cousin was saying, to understand if at all whatever he was saying held some water. And when we ran our checks, we established that KPMG was not telling us the truth in so many ways. We were going into an election with a voter register that was already tainted. We were going to an election with a computer system that was already pre-programmed to deliver a win for Uhuru Kenyatta by a factor of 1.250. That for every vote Raila received, Uhuru received 1.2 of that vote, plus a head start of 183,000. Okay? So I remember sitting with Joshua Nyamori in his apartment. This is somewhere in Kisumu, along Ojijo Teko Road. And when we sat in his apartment, the streaming had just started. It was about 18,000 votes, the first 18,000 votes. And within 30 minutes, when the formula kicked in, I told him that, are you seeing the way it has started? It's not going to change. But before that, we had done our thing and talked to Mama, and Mama told me, if you want to talk to Jacom, just talk to Winnie. Winnie is like, you've got a troop us. Winnie came down to Kisumu. We drove with Winnie to my cousin's place, and she saw for herself what we were talking about. We came back to Kisumu and sat somewhere, classified again, and I introduced her to this other team. And she saw what these are now professors. These are not, maybe you could say my brother or my cousin is, these young men who are feisty, yeah? But when she now heard from these big professors, she now understood the full scale. And at that time, we were very ready, Ochuka. We asked for, I remember that talk, we asked for passports under alliances to get out of this country and help solve the 2017 election. Because the only way to solve 2017 election was that Raila was going to rig, and Uhuru was going to rig watu wakutane ndani ya server. Then we said, hey, this thing is not going on well, so we must talk so that we give the public a better image. But that didn't come to be. So when we went through with that election, Of course, we prepared every response. We knew that election was a sham. 2017 election was the biggest sham of elections after 2010 constitution, after what we experienced in 2007. So yes, the voter register has always been bad.
Okay.
And the audit system has always been poor.
But it is very interesting, Mr. Odhiambo, that some of the farms, Mr. Ochuka, that we have been, singing good songs about are really corrupt. Like, for example, this is the story on the Standard, March the 22nd, 2026. Big Four, big shame, World Bank ban, put audit industry on trial.
Yep.
This is the World Bank has actually indicted and banned PricewaterhouseCoopers,
PwC has been
PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Yes, Deloitte and KPMG to audit books or overseas governance structures, right? So they have been given a World Bank ban for 21 months. The Kenyan, Rwanda, and Mauritian PwC arms admitted to colluding with the project officials to obtain confidential information that was then used to win tenders financed by the World Bank.
Correct.
You see, so KPMG, PwC, these are very corrupt people in Ernst & Young. And we are not the ones saying...
In fact, Ernst & Young has a problem, was brought to the forelight, fame by something called the Wiregate scandal, which was really huge. They were cooking books there for a long time.
Okay.
PwC has always been one of those quote-unquote reputable firms in Kenya or in the world, basically, in audit. Now, World Bank has indicted them on a power generation project in Ethiopia. Okay, it was a $1.2 billion power plant that was going to reduce the cost for us in terms of electricity, because that power was meant for export into countries such as Kenya. Deloitte for the longest time. I don't even want to talk about KPMG. On IBC is when I broke ranks with this kind of people.
Why did Airtel kick one of them out?
Because, you remember Airtel, in fact, if we come to Airtel, Airtel has a whole case of cooked books, which has happened to them for a long time, including Airtel, for a long time.
From Tencel.
To the transitions.
Yeah, the transitions.
Yeah.
And the last one being that there was a PR deal with a firm called Ogilvy. You remember? And Airtel had to pack up from Ogilvy because Ogilvy was the PR face or the PR firm that was handling Airtel's publicity and media campaigns. But Airtel has suffered a big issue with these audit firms. Basically, in short, these four big firms, Ernst & Young, Deloitte, PwC, and which one again? KPMG. These firms cannot stand as credible audit firms for one reason. That I cannot pay you to find the wrongs in me. You are probably not going to find the wrong in me. Because as well as saying media, whoever pays the piper calls the tune. So whoever pays KPMG, PwC, Ernst & Young, whoever, will always determine how the tune comes out. And to ice it, Jagero, most of these accounts you see being read to us on TV about half-year profits and book status, normally is very cooked. And the people who ensure those are cooked are these
narrative
firms.
spin around them.
Yeah, there's a narrative spin, just to buy shareholder or stakeholder confidence.
Okay.
But some of these companies are doing really bad.
And companies pay handsomely for that.
Oh, of course they do.
So there is a gentleman, his picture I don't have, but I wish I had given it to Obunga, University of Nairobi Chancellor Patrick Vatoren. This man, I don't know his relationship with Odhiambo's friend, the President William Ruto, but a swift move by the National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula saw legislatures in a show of defiance shred President William Ruto's move to grant diplomatic immunities and tax exemptions to directors and foreign staff of a Dutch firm linked to the Chancellor of University of Nairobi, Professor Patrick, that name. The Global Center of Adaptation, GCA, a Netherlands-based climate organization, is in the process of setting up its Kenyan office. I hear it is one of the biggest But I don't know, why do they want to be given immunities? What crimes do they want to open up a Shakahola? What is going on? Why?
Is it a preemptive prosecution? Or
yes. Why do they want immunities? What do they?
I think it's just basic. When somebody wants immunity, it means they want to do things which are not within the legal framework. It is that simple for me.
Because I'm wondering, and for the first time that the MPs had to gather their cojones, and wag their fingers towards Wetangula and tell them, don't let that man be sending you here to us, telling us things. MPs rejected. MPs rejected exempting GCA staff and directors from taxation while questioning the organization's activities in the country. The privileges would have extended to immunity from prosecution while in the country. Listen to that, Ochuka. As well as diplomatic status for spouses, dependents, and relatives.
So it's a full ring.
Who are the relatives?
Anybody they say that
is a relative. I can enlist you on my list.
Yeah. It's not the first time. I think there's just something that is fishy as it looks. We don't need to read past what is being told. Once somebody requires immunity, it means they're going to do something criminal, because we don't want to have diplomatic cover. It implies that your bags cannot be checked.
But it is very interesting.
Diplomatic packages are never checked at the airport.
That's how we sell gold.
Mr. Samuel Chepkonga actually dug some dirt on them. I will mention a few things that we noted, which was not put in the report. This organization was established in the Netherlands, and it came into this country having been deregistered in another country. So they are taking off from that country to Kenya, and the government wants to give them immunity with their spouses, their children, probably children who are 30 years who are coming to interfere with our girls here, and what else of the Ambo? And their relatives. So Choka can be their relative. Anybody bonga. This is really, really bad. And I think that it is very good that the MPs could stand up to this kind of thing. I mean, Ruto should invite people that are bringing us investment, but our laws also should reign supreme. I think.
I agree.
All right. I think that is
that's beautiful of the MPs.
People died in Siaya, Udhiambo. What is going on there?
Now that is where, again, I don't know. I find myself in so many things, Ochuka.
Your cookies everywhere.
My hand is everywhere.
Yeah.
Last year, the other year? Last year, November. There's a company that approached us. That is myself and two of my friends. One is now deceased, who are giants in the media. And they approached us to help them with a de-escalation of hostilities in Ramula.
The community? Or what?
Yes. This company is called Shanta Gold. Shanta Gold did approach us to help them with this question of hostilities that are happening in Ramula, in Siaya.
That's game, yeah?
Second? Yes, game. Yes. So what happened is that they are in the process of exploration. They're not at the point of extraction. Exploration means
feasibility.
They do feasibility tests or studies. They're coming to your place with requests and authorities, of course, from the ministry, because you have a license to explore. So they will dig. They will have a small pipe, like 5-10 centimeters wide, and they insert that pipe to the ground where they can find gold deposits, just to measure what is the clarity or whatever of this gold, the purity that is, and they go and test this gold. Then is when they determine how big is the deposit.
Stream,
because of course there's that geological survey that has already been done a long time ago by the Department of Mining. It is there. We all know that in Ramula there is one of the best gold belts, because Ramula sits on the same gold belt that goes up to Geita. Yes. It starts from somewhere in Ethiopia, not in Ethiopia, in Sudan, and runs straight to Geita. And it has a branch towards some place called Nyamongo in Tanzania. Then it extends into Singida, a place called Mang'onyi area. I know that name is funny. Nyangonyakud area. Yes. So it extends to that place called Mang'onyi area in Singida. So when this firm contracted us, we did take them on a benchmarking tour. That is the team from Ramula. We had representatives of the people who were elected by the community. We had government representatives, political representatives, political actors, civil society, and we drove all the way. We drove all the way to Nyanza. Then we took a drive to Singida the following day. It was about almost 19 hours of road travel. And when we arrived in Singida, we did show them what gold mining looks like. I've had the advantage of having lived in a gold mine before in 2012 at a place called North Mara, Nyamongo. Yes. So, and that was my qualification into that contract, because I understood how gold mining works. Not easy is a wash hapana. The real gold, how it is mined by Barrick Gold in Tanzania. So we took these guys there, and one of the concerns that was there was what happens to us in terms of compensation. What happens to us in terms of this gold inachukuliwa? Are we still benefiting? Ama once you've compensated us, that's it.
This is about it.
Yeah. The people that we've buried there, our fathers, our grandfathers, what's going to happen to them? Are they going to be mishandled?
Secreted, yeah.
Yes. Or what? Like, people are very much attached to the dead. Okay, and so many more things. So when we went to Singida, Jagero, Mang'onyi area, we
drink water.
Mang'onyi is a place in Luoland.
No, it's a place.
It's a Bantu.
It's a Bantu name. Yeah. So in this Mang'onyi area, you know, when you're laughing, you make me think.
I think people on the internet are already saying something. Let me check.
Okay. So what happened there is that we did meet the district commission there.
Yeah.
I remember how I wish I got this. I would have sent you the photos. We met the district commissioner. We met the local representatives. We met the miners. That is Shanta Gold, the representative there. And they did show us in terms of compensation what happens. And this is what happens in Tanzania, because it is important the larger population also knows, because gold is not a property of Ramula people only. It's a national treasure. So when you are evicted or when you are removed from your land, because the government has the capacity under something called compulsory acquisition. Yes. Yeah, they can acquire that land and compensate you. But this farm is willing in Tanzania. One, they pay you the price of your land plus the building.
Okay.
They give you the money. Okay? Then they also buy you land elsewhere and build it for you. Do you understand? Okay. So you're benefiting twice.
Do they compensate you for your gold beneath your house?
So I'm coming to that. Okay. Because that's the concern. Yes, in finishing. That's the concern. Yeah. So once they give you this money for compensation, they also give you that land plus a house in it. Then, in terms of compensation of this gold, it is the government to determine what goes where. Like in Tanzania, in that area, there's money that remains in the community, in the immediate community, that builds hospitals, yes, that builds schools, that builds the DC's office, public institutions, basically. Then there's a bit that goes to the national level, because it's also national. But that is what lacks in Kenya. And this war is about that.
Somebody is saying it is Oduor. It is not Mang'onyi. It is Manyoni.
No, it's Mang'onyi. I know Manyoni. I've lived in Tanzania. They just Google Mang'onyi area of Singida.
Okay, somebody saying that I should stop laughing at that word.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Martha Okello is saying good evening, Odhiambo, Jagero, and Ochoka. Thank you very much. Okello is saying that word is so fishy. Okay, that is that. Let's go to the meat of our conversation today.
Right.
I don't know whether I want to start with a video, but I want Kithure Kindiki. I want to ask you, each and every one of you, what you think about Kithure Kindiki. Deputy President Kithure Kindiki faces an existential political crisis heading into 2027, correct? You know, he's squeezed between ODM's aggressive demand for his seat, Rigathi Gachagua's insurgency in Mount Kenya, and his own inability to demonstrate he can deliver a decisive voting bloc. The man sworn in as Kenya's third Deputy President barely 18 months ago may already be a lame duck. I don't know whether Odhiambo will agree. I don't know whether Ochoka will agree. The question animating Kenyan political circles is no longer whether Ruto will consider dropping Kindiki. It is who replaces him, if that were to happen, and what that means for the electoral math. This research document that we put together lays out every angle of that question. Kindiki's biography and character, his political vulnerabilities, and the full roster of political potential replacement from ODM and beyond. The Gachagua insurgency and the cold arithmetic of Kenya's 2027 political presidential race. Odhiambo, when you hear about Kindiki, because Odhiambo Choka is going to take us through the history of the man. I was reading about it and I was wondering, man, these guys are 10 in the family, and almost 5 are professors. I mean, I want to be them. You know, I looked at them and said, "Oh my God, Nyakajiae."
The land of rocks.
Nyakajiae, the land of rocks. What comes to mind when you hear Kithure Kindiki?
Kithure Kindiki is one of those, is a representation of what you can become in Kenya. If you stick by the rules. He's a product of the rule. He's also a product of his own effort. Okay. Because I always say there are people who are a product of statistical consequence. That because we are 3 here, one of us has to lead. But if we are 10, then somebody who will lead will come out differently. Okay? So he's not just a statistical consequence. He's also a product of his own efforts, which is something beautiful, but also showing what Kenya has to do if you can invest a little bit. And I think he chose the path of education, and it bore fruit. And I love his family. I love a family of professors. That is a beautiful thing, especially at that age.
Odhiambo is an intellectual. Chuka also is an intellectual.
Yeah, and you're also intellectual.
Really
just you like packaging yourself. He likes packaging himself like a commoner, but he's not. Yeah, he's not. And people know you. They've smoked you. They've smoked you out.
Yeah. So that's what you think about Kindiki. I want to go to Chuka. But before we go to Chuka, I want us to replay the video where he's being sworn in, because I think that video is very interesting. Bunga, if you can replay that video, then Chuka can take us.
I, Kithure Kindiki,
do swear
that
I will always truly and diligently serve the people of Kenya and the Republic of Kenya in the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, that I will diligently discharge my duties and perform my functions in the said office to the best of my judgment, that I will at all times.
Is your mic? Okay. I was about to ask Vash to say something, but apparently her mic is not there. What happened to your mic? Bunga, what happened to Vash's mic? You're jealous. Let's go to Omondi Chuka. That is the man that is being put in to serve as the fifth. Is it the fifth or the third? The fifth?
No.
The what?
The third deputy president under the new constitutional dispensation.
Yeah.
Ochuka.
Many people would like to know about the deputy president from C grade to a PhD, Kindiki's improbable rise. Please take us through who we should know about Kindiki.
Kindiki is one of those distinguished professors, and many people actually do not know about him because he came into the limelight. How he came into the limelight. But let's come into that later on as I will wind up. Abraham Kithure Kindiki was born in 1972, July. Okay. So when you look at it, he's kind of like a representation of most of our dads. And when you look at it, it's an aspiration in terms of education and investment and what a family can turn out when real investment is made into the household. This is Irunduni village in Tharaka Nithi, the former Meru district. And he's born of a father who is a retired Reverend, Daniel Kindiki. And something also comes in very, very interesting in this family. This family have eaten books, man. They've eaten books very well. So there's just John Nyanza, who is international education at Moi University. There's Moses Mpuria, political economist at Masai Mara. There's Stephen Givinji, linguistic at Daystar. Isaiah, soil physics and current vice chancellor of KCA University.
Right.
So Kindiki himself, this is very funny that sometimes when you will run for an office and your vulnerabilities are usually positioned against you because those are odds that you had to beat to be who you are. And he scored a C at Lenana. And you see, Lenana was a very revered school for back then, even today still. He scored a C in KCSE, which was, again, below university cut. And he went to repeat. For many people, I think many of us can relate with that because sometimes you miss a cut-off point with 1 point and you see you're not the only one in the family or you are one of the few people who's going to be behind. Well, the rest of your family is very distinguished academically. So he goes back to Tharaka Boys High School where he earns an entry to Moi University and he obtains Bachelor of Laws in 1998. And then he pursues postgraduate study at the University of Pretoria in South Africa and then completes a master's degree in international human rights law and democracy. Distinguished, yeah? The portrait is coming up clearly, pole.
Yeah.
Then he earns a PhD in international law in 2002. All this is done by age 30. I admire him so much. I used to want to be that person, but I'm past 30 now. Then he also completed his advocate's postgraduate diploma at the Kenya School of Law in 2001. What now begins his work when he starts teaching at Moi University? As many people, teaching at the university sometimes comes as you start as a tutor or a teaching assistant.
Or part-time lecturer.
Yeah, or a part-time lecturer. And that journey is rigorous because the far you need to go to earn academic credibility, it's a very rigorous path. So he moved to University of Nairobi in 2004, rising to senior lecturer, head of Department of Public Law, and associate dean of School of Law. And then Kindiki's academic work is also focused on 3 things, which is humanitarian law, forced migration, and constitutional governance. He is also a distinguished member of Academic Council of the United Nations System, ACUNS, International Association of the Study of Forced Migration, and International Commission of Jurists. These are very important because now it leans him to specialty of international law, and then it also introduces him why we see him in 2012, when now he is part of the Ruto's defense team at ICC, so at The Hague, against crimes of humanity, which is a bond that now I think would fuse them. And this is where I wanted to introduce something which for a long time we see the deputy president as a Siamese twin. Do you know what a Siamese twin mean?
I know they are twins.
Do you know they are twins? So while I was doing my research, I found that there are 3 things that are very important.
Right.
Siamese twins are usually either joined at the head, pelvis, or the chest.
Okay.
And you look at it, these are very critical areas of a body, and so much that the fate that Kindiki is facing today is critical, so much that if you tend to separate the head alone, the severity that will ripple into the other parts.
Okay.
So I think it's also the factor of
what exactly are you talking about, Ochoka?
I'm talking about the deputy president, the position of the deputy president.
Okay.
Because that's the matter of the matter we're discussing today. So as we move forward, we see that he served at the Senate. And while I was reading now his history, because I was interested in what kind of bills has he sponsored or championed within the Senate. And they're very important. Just give me a minute to just check in a few. There is a minute.
There's somebody who says this is Martha Akelo Opondo.
Okay.
She says Kindiki was a very reserved guy in college. She was a fresher when Kindiki was in his 4th year, and she thinks that he was the best in his year. And he earned a scholarship.
Yes.
And Martha goes ahead to say that Kindiki was also a CU chairman.
like his president.
Like his president. Which is very interesting. I like that.
He has retained that demeanor of being a very reserved and
I was also
well positioned.
You also in CU?
Yes, I was chairman of CU.
Ochuka, I have a question though.
Yes.
What went wrong?
With him or you?
I have never changed.
Did you miss your part?
I have never changed.
What went
I have
wrong?
never changed. I have always been the man.
When was the last time you were in church?
Today.
So there is, when you look at it, I think sometimes
good for you.
The bills that an MP or a senator positions themselves in the house, in the both houses, sometimes also tend to reflect what kind of interest they have. So there's the County Allocation Revenue Bill of 2013. There is alcoholic drinks, which was something that was very prominent in the central, the collective central counties.
Right.
There is Community Land Bill of 2013, and then there is Public Finance Management Bill of 2014. I just picked those three so that we can move on. So Kindiki, the elevation of him into like a national political limelight comes when he now is serving as a majority leader in the Senate. And then he was re-elected in 2017, and then now he's made deputy speaker for the same house. And then later on something comes in, because now this is the second term for Uhuru Kenyatta. Factions are coming up. Ruto is definitely charting his own path and is seen as a betrayer by the Jubilee Party. And so now they de-whip him. De-whipping means they derobe you.
I think Obunga has that.
I think
video.
we have that video when he.
Is it a video or a photo? It's a video. We can listen to that before we go on. Do we have the video? When
Obunga is still...
So Ruto goes around and assembles his presidential ticket dream. And Professor is actually at the center of it. He's looming around. In fact, at some point, there was a big headache. People were speculating who between him and Rigathi Gachagua will take in the deputy ticket. Do you have the video ready?
No, they don't have the video.
And then Kindiki is... handed in Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration after the Kenya Kwanza victory. He was briefly dismissed on July 11th, 2024 during the Gen Z protest cabinet reshuffle, but then he was reinstated in July 9th. And then he elevates after Rigathi Gachagua has been impeached in October 2024 when the National Assembly votes 281 against 44. And Rigathi Gachagua is found guilty of 5 of 11 charges, making Kindiki, Professor, the deputy president, the third deputy president under the Constitution of Kenya. Kindiki was sworn in November 1st of 2024. In his acceptance speech, he called himself political student, Ruto's political student, for 20 years. So it seems that they have been bosom buddies for some time. I don't know if the video is ready.
We have the one where he's being sworn, he's representing Ruto. Do we have that one?
In the ICC, please let's
because I think one of the things that is very important for us to understand is that Odhiambo has always talked about this issue, the fact that Ruto does not leave his army behind. He carries even the ones that have been injured in war.
Even the ones that add him vulnerability.
Because the reason why Kindiki is impeached as deputy speaker is actually not for his shortcomings, but because he's now on the side. Because remember that time, he had already crossed the floor.
Already.
And and is now together with the then Deputy President, Mr. William Ruto. I remember seeing him very, very forlorn and feeling really bad when Ruto was at Wilson Airport to fly to Uganda, and then Uhuru Kenyatta had to tell whoever he told that the gentleman cannot fly to Uganda. And I remember Ruto saying that tunamwachia Mungu. So I think that, and that is something that I really admire about Ruto, that when he has promised you something, when he says he's going to give you something, he says that you're going to walk that path. When light finally comes, you will always be
honors
there.
His pledge, your word.
Not so much about your friend Uhuru. Nalo has been making so much noise that the gentleman can go for long. Let's play that video for KICC still, so that.
On behalf of William Samoei Ruto, he is represented today by myself, David Hooper, of the English Bar, and Mr. Kioko Kilikumi, who sits next to me, of the Kenyan Bar, and we are assisted by Professor Kithure Kindiki, who sits at the end of this bench.
So it's also interesting during ICC because,
But we can't even see. We didn't even see Kithure Kindiki in this one. He was not. He was never mentioned.
Is right there on the left.
Yes.
It's right there on the left. I can
Who was
see
talking?
him. That.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, is that so?
Yes.
So throwback. Okay. Bunga bwana. Sometimes when I can't easy video short sana.
Just as it continues.
Okay.
Just to add on what you're saying.
Yeah.
The reason why Ruto remains as a credible player in the political field and forceful player, he operates under a doctrine I call Semper Fidelis.
Okay.
And Semper Fidelis here simply is Latin to mean forever faithful.
Forever faithful, yes.
And that is a very powerful call or rallying call in the military, especially in the Marine Corps of America, where they go with the term of, I will never leave you. We will never leave you. Wherever you are. And it was demonstrated, I think, just yesterday when they rescued the downed pilot. Yeah. So Ruto Kindiki didn't actually cross the floor. I wanted to clarify that. Kindiki was part of Ruto's machinery
from the onset.
From the word go. Ruto was always operating.
When I say crossing the floor, I just mean that the
government outfit
together.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying, that he never really crossed the floor. Ruto was always operating a Trojan horse within Jubilee. And for a long time, I can say confidently that Ruto was quite in charge of a few things within the government, including nominations that brought about the average age of MPs from Ruto's side being 37, 38 today, unlike in ODM, which is 57. Yeah, you can carry on. Yeah.
So something that always comes on very, very critically, because 2007 is a big stain in Kenyan conscience, and majority of people pitched against each other. The two communities majorly pitched against each other is the Kikuyu and Kalenjin. And so the friendship and the allyship that Ruto builds with Professor earns it's called dual in law. It earns its goldness over the years. And so we see that when Kindiki is now confirmed the deputy president in November 1st, 2024. Kindiki, professor, is married to Dr. Joyce Gatiria Njagi in 2001, and he's also a professor of environmental chemistry. Wow. University of Nairobi. They have 3 children. There is Imani, Neema, and Mwende. At his 2022 cabinet vetting, Kindiki disclosed a net worth of 544. I don't know whether we are going with this, which now has risen to 694 million by August 2024. Very lucrative office. PS now describe him as eloquent, measured, and cerebral. Kakamega Deputy Governor Ayub Savula called him a smart politician, eloquent, straight to the point, which I think some of his personality traits have sort of matured with age, and he has remained more grounded. He has avoided this politicking of jabbing and throwing, mudslinging, for so much that he has become the vision of a matured Kenyan politician that we have aspired for a long time. Because for a long time, we've always had exchanges over US SUVs, political mudslinging, very aggression and in political scene. And I think it's sort of like a voice of reason that seems to tilt the kind of skill that we have seen over the years. Yes.
Odhiambo, it is interesting that a lot of people have always called the deputy president the placeholder deputy president, because we have ODM is angling for this position, and I think that with Zifuna on the sidelines, and with Wamunyoro making so much noise, gosh, I didn't know that man can go live so many times in a day. The guy can go live.
He goes live more than Jagero.
more than political headache.
More than anybody in this country. I think he's the man that goes live so much. Yeah. And I think that, from where I sit, I think that, I don't know whether Ruto foresaw that this man is going to be such a huge troublemaker. And now that, and something that I see with Rigathi Gachagua also is that he's very tactful, because he has been making so much overtures towards former president, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta. And it sounds like Uhuru is saying, okay, this guy, if our main aim and our strategy is to remove President Ruto from getting into office again in 2027, then I think this is the man. And Because even at the point when Ruto was asking himself, do I go with Kindiki or do I go with Rigathi Gachagua? And I think one of the things, the tools and the capabilities in Rigathi Gachagua is what Rigathi Gachagua is doing against him right now. Because what he is doing right now is what exactly he did to Uhuru Kenyatta. Yes. And so that is very interesting to watch. And I am not sure what ODM is making noise and saying that they want nothing. So you are supposed to take us through reasons why Ruto might not pay Kindiki. And I'm not sure, but I want to go back to the people of the internet and welcome a few people that are there. People are already talking. Let's hear what they have to say. And Mr. Alchemist is saying Kindiki is a very self-conscious leader who has earned respect from Kenyans, especially during the Bomas incident, where he can be seen trying to calm down the likes of Sholei. Chiwash says, even Baba himself and the way he was loved never boasted how he will win in the morning before breakfast. Okay? Chris is saying Kindiki's personality suits him into Attorney General's position, not the murky waters of politics. Him yelling at fire, sea of fire downgrades him to the same level as the likes of Sudi and Farouk. 2.0 is saying, I think he will be retained. No, I don't think he will be retained. I think he will be retained. No, I don't think he will be retained. No, I think he will be retained. No, I think he will be retained. What the heck? I don't know if he will be retained, but I don't mind him. That is 2.2. That is very interesting. Okay, Mr. Gurema, Jagero, as we debate, let us not forget that the election board is a Ruto choice. I think we should focus on 2032. The man has no plan to go home. That is fine. Stephen Mwangi is saying, let Wamunyoro be. That is why, you see that conversation there, that thing there that Ruto has already made the board. It's something that, there is something that Mr. Joachim said here, that they are not planning to go to the Supreme Court if they want to nip it. If they feel that they have lost unfairly, they're not going to the Supreme Court. So Thiambo will have to be a lawyer for Ruto for this one. Thiambo, let's go ahead and see what you've got.
All right, so let's start from the big point which you just said, and let's decolonize the mind from what I call political ignorance. Okay. And accept a few facts. Okay. That is, number one, the person who announces an election is more important than the person who casts the vote. It's a principal rule that applies to date. Two, that the Supreme Court...
So they can steal.
Of course. Election can be stolen. That's what I'm saying. Not that Ruto will steal, but it can be stolen.
Yes.
And two, is that the judiciary, especially the Supreme Court, it's democracy at work. It is 7 judges. You need an even set of these judges. An even means you need 5 or 7. So they can impanel 5 judges or 7 judges. But normally, they've always impaneled 7.
Full set.
Now, of this Supreme Court, what you need is simply 4 against 2. Or 5 against 2. Or 6 against 1.
Are you saying that this is already an election happening? Or
of course.
Is a process still ongoing?
Look, I want you to study the Supreme Court carefully and look at what is happening right now. There's a judge that is...
Joachim said, how do we go to the Supreme Court? To go and stand before Katwa Kigen? Are you joking?
You see, Joachim is right in his thinking because that is the far he can think of it. But in my view, he's being politically ignorant because we cannot then promote anarchy in the absence of us presenting ourselves before the established institutions, which we all agreed to.
I also think that might be dangerous.
Yeah, because we don't need to say we cannot go before the Supreme Court. We must submit ourselves before the law.
What is to be determined?
What is to be determined, we must go there. It was painful to hear the judges talk about a case as hot air, wild goose chase, etc. It is unjudicial language. But all the same, we had agreed that as a people we are submitting to the law. And unfortunately, the Supreme Court is democracy. So you just need 4 or 5. You need the majority of the judges. And it's a negotiation. Every human being has a price. And I don't mean money. There are so many trade-offs. And that's what I was coming to. There are so many trade-offs that happen. Right now, of course, there's a vacancy. And of the vacancy at the Supreme Court, 3 of the shortlisted people are from one tribe. These are realities we can't escape. We are having, I think, Katwa and 2 others of the 6. If you go by what I said, statistical consequences, then already they are at a probability of 1. They cannot fail that Kalenjin will have a Supreme Court judge. That is a statistical consequence that you cannot escape.
Say that again. I didn't get you clearly.
I'll repeat. That if you look at statistical consequence, especially in the maths of probability, once somebody has 50%, then it means the probability is 1. In that, because probability is either 1 or 0. The rest, the remaining 3 are from different tribes. And remember, Supreme Court appointment is not by merit only. It's also by regional balance.
Regional balance.
It's a very political appointment by JSC, because that must be looked into. So being that Kalenjin community already has 3 people who have been shortlisted, the statistical consequence then catapults them into the Supreme Court automatically. Now, you've also seen something happening interesting, that next year we are going to have 2 judges leaving of the Supreme Court. I think Smokin Wanjala must have hit his retirement age.
And one is going to ICC, right?
And one is being proposed to go to ICC. And from what community was this one coming from? And if you look at the history of this particular judge and her judgments, if you read her judgments, then you will realize that it was more of a political decision than, though she was majorly dissenting in some cases.
Njokindungu, why don't you say them by name? Why are you afraid?
I'm not afraid. You know, Jagero.
You are not like Joaquin.
Yeah, So you remember you said you need to, when you meet them at the airport, you know I travel a lot, you may need to shake their hands and say hello, you know.
He said Kaloma is brainless.
Well, I think I still hold on to that position. Anyway, so two of them are going home.
So there's a vacuum being created.
No, there's a vacuum creating itself.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a legal consequence that Justice Smokin Wanjala goes home after attaining retirement age, and so there's going to be a new person there, and that person is going to be appointed by who? JSC. And then by Ruto. In the JSC, what's the composition? A large percentage of JSC is actually executive representation. Okay? So it means basically the president will determine who sits at the Supreme Court. Then we have Justice Njokindungu, who is being removed because of obvious reasons. And I suspect that there's going to be a swap between Justice Njokindungu and Justice Phoebe Okoa. I suspect that Phoebe Okoa may be brought back home to fill that Supreme Court position that Njokindungu shall have left, because we can't have 2 judges from Kenya at the ICC. We'll only have 1. So there's going to be a trade-off. And remember, Justice Phoebe Okoa Justice Professor Phoebe Okoa had previously applied to be a judge of the Supreme Court. And she was shortlisted, and I think she didn't qualify. But not because she didn't qualify, she's a professor, it is because the arithmetic was not accepting at that time. So we're about to see the democracy happening there. Now, park that aside.
We are about to see democracy. It is very interesting, Odhiambo, that you can actually make democracy.
Yes.
Like you can take some clay.
Yes.
And then make your own democracy.
Absolute democracy cannot survive. Absolute democracy is anarchy.
It's animalistic.
It's animalistic. It's a rule by the majority, which means the majority have no say.
It mirrors also the internal climate of a person, which is violent and it's selfish.
Yeah.
So there has to be a compromise and trade-off, and that's what Odhiambo is getting into.
Yeah. Right? So in your estimation, democracy is not what we should be clamoring for.
That is what we are saying.
What are we saying?
We're saying that what you said, it's malleable. So we have to look at the circumstances and the realities of our country.
Yep.
And how do we create the clay? How do we become porters of that democracy?
And that's why we have the 3 arms of government to help us balance democracy. We have judiciary, which I've always said is the last bastion, that in the instance that all else fails, judiciary must stand, because then judiciary is a power that helps bring back the nation to its conscience. Legislature is there to help us bicker, represent our interest, and the executive is there to implement.
But then when that judiciary is in the strides, I think our judiciary is becoming the stride of a moose.
Yeah, that's why we can't afford to have it as it is. I believe that there is an urgent need to have Justice Martha Koome exit quickly, because an institution is as good as the head. And if you see whatever has been happening, we need another radical surgery of this judiciary as is today, and with a quick elimination of the office of the DPP.
How does that happen? Remember when I was telling you about the Samest Twins?
Yeah.
The idea is there's a head.
Yes.
Execute or such as or scans for logistics, and then there's a heart, the chakra of the heart, which I believe is the judiciary, because it's a voice of reason and conscience.
Yeah.
And then there's the pelvic. You, of course, sire.
Yeah.
You present what is to be determined. So how's our gear? How's our chances?
In my view,
that regard?
The JSC can accept the resignation of the Chief Justice
yes.
on personal reasons, and also accept the resignation of a few other Court of Appeal judges and a few others from the other departments. So long as the judiciary is playing around with this issue of corruption, where they are getting anticipatory bails or anticipatory whatever.
Also abstinence from very critical cases.
Exactly. That is tinkering with the bastion. And you know, when the bastion is down, there is nothing to protect. We are going into anarchy. And there's no harm in JSC accepting the resignation, you know what I mean, of the Chief Justice.
Back to Kindiki.
So let's go back to Kindiki. Now, Kindiki is one of those people who is sitting at a very interesting position. Kindiki, Ruto is not going to let him go, but Ruto is going to have a trade-off with him. This is high political calculations, because as is currently and as was then, Kindiki does not have the statistical might to catapult Ruto into 2027 re-election. He doesn't have it completely. He doesn't have the excitement. He doesn't have the numbers. But let me first focus on the numbers. Kindiki comes from the Tharaka, who are about, the voting bloc is about 300,000 on the max. For a presidential election, you need at least 10% of the country with you on board, so that you bring them on the table. Plus, you should be able to rally beyond your 10% base, about another 10%.
Small buckets, yeah.
Yes, which comes about 20-21%, because the president is always having about 30%. So you need to rally to bring 50 plus one. Kindiki does not command the full east and west of Mount Kenya.
Mountain.
He may be commanding the east because of a new identity granted to them. And he's prudent at his work, of course, but statistically, he's knocked off. Now, the Mount Kenya East come up to 1.4 million voters, which is not even 7% of the total votes of this country. So then it is a load in terms of getting the power. And one thing that Kindiki is going to accept, of course, gentlemanly, is that for the math, it is not mathing. So he has to give way. And then, of course, because of his dignity and stature, there is something that will happen. I will not be surprised to see somebody like Kindiki, for example, end up as either an attorney general of the same regime. Miracles happen in regimes, or something else, because I think is best suited for me, if you ask me, as an attorney general. Okay? Because this is a different kind of election. This is not the normal kind of election.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean that this is a different kind of election?
Remember, Kenya has had one denominator throughout. And in a mathematical equation, as long as you have a stagnant or a reliable denominator, then you'll always achieve a very certain outcome. But now that the denominator is removed, you have to rebase it. You have to rebase your calculation. And you rebase it on what? Because now we have other variants coming up, like the rate of what I was talking to you about, which is the Gen Zs. We are looking at the opposition splitting maybe into 3 factions. It's difficult to base this election. So the base is shifting. And that's why I'm saying it's a different election. Number 2 is, of course, the unforgiving coalition math. So reason number 1 why Kindiki will trade off with Ruto is that he comes from a very small ethnic base. This is political reality. This is not tribalism in politics, because our viewers must understand that. Number 2 is, as I've said, the unforgiving coalition math. In 2027, there's a concept which will either propel Ruto to a second term or deny him that chance. And that is the tyranny of small tribes or small numbers. As current, Ruto cannot garner 50 plus 1 in 2027. That is a fact for sure. Unless now he moves into the strategy wing. And that is ensuring that of the voters that turn up in specific regions, and I will give you the mathematics later on, he must make sure that the turn-up is so high that will ensure that the other places don't turn up, the opposition strongholds don't turn up to vote. And we will go into that also shortly. So the unforgiving coalition math kicks Kindiki out. The inability to prove vote delivery, okay? He has struggled, especially in Mbeere North. The reality is that between Wamudende and the second person, it was 492 votes only. They were all at 15,000. And 492 is a negligible number in an election, as much as it's a simple majority. 494, yeah. As much as a simple majority, but that is very negligible where there is no any other race. You're just focusing there. The opposition really gave them a run for their money. As much as in politics, it's only number one that is announced. So that is proof that it's going to have a hard time to rally up Central for Ruto. So is mathematically, again, not able to bring votes, in my view.
Remember, he went to 50 meetings, 17 rallies.
Yes, within 9 days. Correct. Then we have ODM's aggressive demands. I will later on come into the ODM house and show you how their mismanagement is also going to deny them the chance to be a deputy president in 2027. Okay? And I will tell you how people like Cecil Mbarire then stand a chance to become governor for Embu, to become a deputy president in 2027. Also remember that people say some things which we ignore. When Ruto talked about the possibility of 2027 having a female deputy president, he's never departed from that. And I will show you how that will happen. So ODM's aggressive demands again kicks Kindiki really hard below the belt, because this is like Kinjuri said the other day, Kindiki's position is like a beautiful woman. You know, when you marry a beautiful woman or when you're dating a beautiful woman, Jagero, it's quite difficult. Like you're driving a G-Wagon. Everybody is ogling. Na pita hivi umeshika mkono kila mtu ana ogle. You know ogling?
You can easily start a fight.
Yeah, they can easily start a fight.
Jacob Elliott said it in my last episode.
Yes.
That if you're married to a beautiful woman,
yes,
and she has got an Instagram account,
yes,
where she's always going to the gym and posting there.
Yes.
Your days are numbered.
That is, I agree. That is very true. That is very true.
That's political philosophy 101.
That is very true, because there's something called validation. Right. When the woman seeks validation heavily from outside, and the validation they get from Instagram,
it's addictive.
It's addictive,
and it's unfeelable for you.
Yes, because as my partner tells me all the time, dopamine is one of the most useless hormones, because it does not have a satisfaction. It is repetitive. So the more you do it, the more you want it. It's very recurring. So now, so Kindiki is having a wife, not literally, the seat, which is very beautiful, and every man is ogling, and some are even playing with him and saying, you don't have a strong voice. That lady needs a baritone voice, okay, and so many more that could be demeaning, but that's politics. ODM putting their best foot forward. I've always said ODM needs to do that. I'm happy they're doing it. They were negotiating this way with their hands tied. Now they're negotiating, I think, in the best way, though there's something they're doing which is not proper, which will not deliver them that. Then, of course, we have the Gen Z protest baggage that sits with Kindiki, because when the Gen Zs were demonstrating and the law was being broken outrightly, he was quite in the docket. And of course, whether he was directly in charge or not, as I've pointed out before, there's evidence that KDF was involved, and KDF was not within his control. And it's also evidenced by that BBC documentary that there was a KDF soldier who was actually shooting people dead. And of course, it's another discussion on its own. Altogether. But the political responsibility lies with him as the then CS of Interior. He was very mellow, but a lot of things happened under him. Lastly, in my view, there's the placeholder narrative, which you started with. That, this is just a seat filler, you know. Is not really the substantial person. Si mtu ambaye ameleta kiti. Yeye appointee of the president. He's not a people's selection. So then that also makes it quite difficult for Ruto to go back with him to the ground, because he didn't come from the ground. And I always say, if you see a tortoise on top of a high ground, you must know that somebody put it there.
Might the fate that befell his predecessor befall him?
No. I don't see an impeachment coming his way. It's not coming his way.
Before elections, you mean, Achoka?
Even after?
You mean regarding?
Should he be taken to into the next election?
There's a trade-off. This is going to be a trade-off. Okay. This is not going to be, Ruto is not going to leave him.
Okay.
It's going to be a trade-off. Because I'd rather Jagero has the podcast so that I appear. Instead of Jagero not having it.
Meza imechukuliwa na auctioneers.
Exactly. So kama ni meza ndio lazima to rescue, nitalipa kitu kidogo ili tubaki na meza na mic. That is what's exactly going to happen. That let's remain with the table. Mimi naweza kipande hiyo.
So I think what Odhiambo is saying that Kindiki can have a conclave with the president, and the president will tell him there that, look, we are in a tight spot. Because if you insist that you must be my number 2, we might both go home. But if I decide to say, okay, let me use this position as band for the chickens. All right?
Then we stand a chance to again sit at the same table.
So I will come back as the president. You might come back as something even bigger. Because sometimes I think that the deputy president's position is very flowery. It looks inflated, but I think if you poke it with a needle, you really find nothing.
There's nothing in there.
So,
but I think, Jagero, when you are talking about regarding Gachagua's impeachment, there's a saying that I was looking for, which was written by Sir Richard Steele in the early 18th century. And he says, I quote, I look upon an able statesman out of business like a huge whale that will endeavor to overturn the ship unless he has an empty cask to play with. I repeat that. Sir Richard Steele, was an Irishman, wrote, I look upon an able statesman out of business, out of office, like a huge whale that will endeavor to overturn a ship that is moving across the ocean,
cruising,
unless he has an empty cask to play with. I think it was a political grand mistake by the regime to push away Rigathi Gachagua. Because especially in that manner. Because there's management that you do to somebody like Rigathi. You don't face him head on.
I disagree.
Let me finish. When you leave somebody like Rigathi within the regime, you are assured of a second term. Because Rigathi will run on everybody. And what you needed to do was to manage him, because you understand that by the time you're having him as a deputy president, you already know the kind of a person he is. And you should budget or cost and say, what is this going to cost me? Because now the president is sitting at a very dangerous position because of the exit of Rigathi. It was very important for the presidency to play bad cop, good cop. That the presidency was becoming a dichotomy of one who is defending and one who would accept later. And then they would finally cross the bridge. Because, for example, between 2013 and 2018, many people do not know that the Jubilee House was actually extremely divided by the time we were going for a re-election. At that time, Ruto and Uhuru played the public by showing a very proper face, but they had already broken ranks completely. But the most important thing was, no emotions, let's just do business. So once we cross this bridge, tunaweza tengana the other side.
I think my thinking about the same thing is different.
Right.
Rigathi had made it very difficult for Ruto to be Ruto. Because first of all, Ruto is a micromanager. Ruto does not want people crossing in front of the TV when he's watching.
Is that asshole?
And there's a remote.
Is that asshole?
You know? And Rigathi Gachagua, I think in his head, knew that he had actually helped Ruto get the presidency because he delivered 4 million votes, according to him.
Yeah.
Whether that is true, whether that is false,
that
is a story for another day. But he thinks that he gave Ruto actually 4 million votes. And he thought that he was entitled to the government 50-50. Okay? Which I think is very childish of him. To think that once somebody has climbed onto that seat of a president, you still remain an equal.
Yes.
There is no way you will ever be an equal. Because even in life, things just shift. Today, if we are friends, and we are just tunasumbukana tu kwa mtaa, and then suddenly I am given a job as an MD, our status changes
straight away.
completely.
Correct.
All right?
Correct.
You can easily be my driver because Jagero kuja tufanya together. You have been driving a lot. You have been driving. You'll be the one driving you alone. But you're in the house without a job. And in this
come, let's do something.
Come, let's do something.
Yeah.
And you will be the driver, and you will stay out in the V8 at Java Cafe.
Yeah, when
and
I'm
we'll
drinking.
go in and talk with a girl. But you will. You will remain inside the car reading a newspaper, and I think that this is what Gachagua could actually not get over, the fact that we were equals. You helped me a great deal, but now I'm in the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
Yeah.
I am the one who is sleeping at State House. I am the one who is calling all the shots. I am the one who has the zip to the pass.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So in my head, I think that Gachagua could not get himself to understand that, so that he can bolore next to this guy. Because Ruto delivered a lot of votes to Uhuru Kenyatta.
Right.
When Uhuru Kenyatta denied him a plane to go to Uganda and see Museveni, he said, "Tumwachie Mungu." He put his tail behind his two legs and went back to Karen.
Yes.
And sat there and never spoke. And that is how you play this thing.
Right.
But Gachagua could not play the same thing.
In fact, Ruto played it for a long time.
Yes. Because,
many instances.
And there is something that Ruto has always said that a lot of people take for granted.
Right.
Mimi nimejipanga sawa sawa. Ruto always says that thing. Even when people were telling him that your votes are going to be stolen, what did he say? Nyinyi mnaniona aje? You know,
you carry me.
You cannot go away with my vote. So I think that Odhiambo, this was a marriage that was sota Maltas.
Yeah.
That they could not sit inside in the living room and watch TV together.
There's an intellectual gap.
Yeah, intellectual.
They could have no discussion.
there was so many, and you know, I think Ruto had learned the scope, the entire scope of how our government function. But the DU is coming into this thing with a lot of challenges, you know, and so I think that it was going to give Ruto a lot of problems, and I think also Ruto, like when we started talking about this issue, we said that Ruto does not leave his people behind. But I think at some point, you know, in Luo we say ni chopo na ka.
Yeah.
You know.
Imagine zidi unga.
You know, and you're just saying, okay, I would rather not work for you. I would rather make my plans to clinch the elections next time, rather than be with this person that we can't share bed with, we can't share meal with. Like is because even Joachim sometimes say that we are always being very supportive of Gachagua until you tell us that let us give the presidential ticket to Gachagua, then everyone will say, You see, they will appreciate the foot soldiering that he's doing. But when it comes to now giving him the ticket to be the president of Kenya, everybody is paranoid. Even the mountain panics when you tell them that Gachagua is actually... Gachagua can easily be a Trump. Open the factories. Anyway, give them Mike and Mary.
So now let's go to the math of this thing.
Okay.
Because I would like the audience to understand something about the mathematics of this equation. So quickly, let me first go to the 50% plus one calculation. In 2027, the country is expecting a total vote registration of about 24 million people on the minimum, or on the maximum, and a turnout of 65% of that, which comes about 15 million, 14 million, thereabout. So 15 million, 14 million is up for grabs. 65%, because we have eliminated up to 35%, because the boogeyman of Kenyan elections is no longer there. So many people are just going to say, what the hell?
Whatever.
Yeah, let me see the boogeyman. The boogeyman, my grandfather. So we are having 15 million people or 14 million thereabout. So it means the person who's going to be declared president must have 7.7 or 8 million votes. Thereabout.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
More than he scored in the last elections.
Yeah. Okay? So that is on the best case scenario. I can tell you that the person who will win next year's election.
This inflation has been brought about by the Gen Z.
Newer voters.
New registrations. But also there's a part of the country that is really riled up or serious and ready to punish. There's quite a composition of the country that is not very happy with the president. That is guaranteed. We know it. And that's why he's having an uphill task on whatever he's trying to achieve right now. Now, let's look at how this thing is going to work out in 2027. There's a reason as to why I want us to start from 50% plus 1.
Okay.
Because then it will determine for us how then do we achieve a deputy president. Then we go to the alternatives, because it is guaranteed that Ruto is not going to send Kindiki away. He's going to trade off with him. Okay? So Rift Valley comes with 3.5 million potential votes in 2027. President Ruto must get 85% of this.
85%?
In fact, 85% of the turnout. First of all, these guys must turn out on the minimum 85%. Then Ruto must get 85% of that turnout.
So almost nearly, that's 100% fold for that particular turnout.
No. 85% of the turnout could be like, let's say, out of 3.5, we are having 2.7, thereabout, turning up. Right. So Ruto must then get 85% of 2.7 million to walk with home, okay?
Okay. So they are how many?
About 3.5 million potential voters.
3.5?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I will tell you the number.
Good. So that is the potential vote that will turn up in 2027, okay? Then we are looking at the opposition must then get about 10 to 15% of the turnout for them to have a pathway. So we are looking at two pathways, 250 plus 1, for both opposition and incumbent. When we come to Mount Kenya West here, we are talking about Kiambu, Muranga, etc. So this is where the narrative is about damage control, and the president must salvage at least 20 to 30% of the voter turnout. Because if they don't do that, there's going to be a total DCP sweep in that area. And how he's going to achieve that, we will come to it. But so far, you can see the 7 cabinet secretaries in President Ruto's government.
So Ruto must get about 2.6 million votes in Rift Valley.
Correct. As a head start. Then, so it means when you look at Mount Kenya West, Ruto having 20 to 30% of it is what will save him. And unfortunately, as we are today, Jagero, the 6-7 ministers, Kikuyu ministers, who are sitting in Ruto's regime are doing him more harm than good. Because they're not talking, they're not in the media, you don't see them, they're not having any value. They have, in fact, they're dead weight in President Ruto's regime. If I was the president today, I would sit with them and ask them, how do we move?
I think what is happening right now is that Ruto, you remember the conversation that we were having yesterday, Diambo?
Yes.
That Owidi was making so much noise about, and Joachim was right on point when he said that that Ruto cannot touch Wandai at this particular point. That's exactly what we are talking about.
Yes.
Ruto is between a rock and a hard place.
Yes.
He touches Wandai and the Luo vote goes up in smoke. He touches those 7 MPs, those 7 ministers, and any remnant of his votes.
Hope that he had for
out
and
that is, and it is interesting that they cannot go out and fight. They have to go out and fight.
Do they know that?
Yeah.
Huh? Do they know that? Because I see that there's a sense of neutrality, and when
there is inertia.
Yes.
Correct. There's a lot of inertia. That's what I'm saying. That then the president must sit down with them and ask them, gentlemen, how do we move? Because the table. What do you bring to the table, bro?
The table yet again.
The table will be auctioned.
That is really tough. The table
bro.
Is going.
Yeah, the table is going.
Die with me.
Credibility is bought as such. Like, die with me because...
Some of those guys are coming from Rigathi Gachagua's home turf.
Yes.
You do not want to even sit with 3 people in that locality taking tea and talking about Ruto.
The damage is already done, and the only way, there's something I've always talked about, Jagero, something called the share of voice.
Okay.
It's like basically market share. Now, and this is how simple it gets a chuka. If in Mount Kenya West, where these gentlemen, most of them come from, they're having these ministers who are not talking, and the opposition is talking. When the opposition is releasing, especially together, is releasing 10 videos or 10 propaganda pieces, and the ministers are not releasing even one, the market share which is now share of voice in communication, is tilted towards Rigiji. And there's no some saying the president needs to sit down with this gentleman and ask them, even if we are going to fail, can you at least try, talk? Msiwe bubu katika serikali.
Yeah.
So that they go, when they talk, when Rigathi releases 10 propaganda, they also release 10. So we have equity, share of voice equity.
I have a question.
Right.
Knowing Ruto, do you think he has considered this and not done anything about it?
You know, I agree with you that maybe he has not considered it, but he has seen it, of course. And Ruto, having served with these guys, some of them in the former regime, he knows their hearts. Someone like this ICT cabinet secretary, Kabogo. He has nothing to lose by going to talk. He's already served as a governor. He's already served as a minister back then. He's serving as a minister again. He has nothing to lose. Somebody like Mutahi Kagwe has nothing to lose by going to talk. But the president has to do this. He must be proactive about it. Because these gentlemen are refusing to increase the share of voice.
So William Kabogo has to go to Kiambu and talk about
Yes, he must go.
He must go. He has to go to Nakuru.
And the only thing that they have to do, they don't have to go and shout down at the people. No. When you go down in propaganda, again, which I am very, very, very much eloquent in, what you must do is accept where there is a mistake. The people will always understand when you accept your mistakes, own up, and take responsibility. But if you go and say, tumefanya kazi, hakuna nini, Rigathi ni mbaya. No, you
what is the mistake that Lee Kinyanjui is going to go with to Nakuru?
He will say, for example, Nakuru is quite divided because Nakuru is almost half and
maybe at least Wahome.
Let's talk about Mutahi Kagwe okay. Going to Nyeri because he comes from Nyeri.
Yes,
he was a senator there.
Because I saw the governor also doing his part. You see?
And the governor is stuck with his guns actually.
Yes.
For Ruto.
So what you must do, in my view, is you must go and say, okay, it is true that a mistake happened. This impeachment shouldn't have happened. But now we must reason as a people. We must think of the community first before individuals. That is a very strong statement. That you remember Raila saying severally that the country is bigger than Raila. When Saitoti said that Kenya ni muhimu zaidi kuliko mtu mmoja, kuliko Saitoti. When Moi told him, Saitoti, kama jina yako haiko. That is on the list of Kanu at Kasarani. So the reality is that when Mutahi Kagwe goes to Nyeri, he must go and tell these guys that yes, a mistake happened, let's accept it. But where do we move? Do we lose the government or do we get the government first? We can sort our internal issues later.
I have a question as a political communication strategist. It seems that whenever there happens to be a problem, and then you go back to the voters and say, this is what we are delivering. In other words, you are arguing from the front end of an outcome. The outcome is, Rigathi Gachagua was not desirable to a certain point that he had to go. And what they are showing up for is the kind of development and the kind of development that has happened ever since he was thrown out. So when you're arguing from that point, it seems that you are actually missing or bypassing or at least knowingly not addressing the grievances of the people. Is that the case?
Yes, people do not care about development records. People will elect you for anything, but not development. Development is a morality veil that we use to advance our interests.
Yes.
What people care more about is identity. Because, and that's what I'm telling you, this narrative that must go is admitting. There's power in admission. Say it was wrong, yes. But was it necessary? Yes. How do we move forward? Let's talk. Let's hear from you. Go listen. In fact, I believe, Ochuka, you are a parent. When your child does a mistake and your child comes to you and tells you, Daddy, I'm sorry. I did this. I didn't.
Soften a bit.
Yeah, you will soften a bit. That is how human beings are. Human beings do not occupy their rigid positions because they hate you. They occupy rigid positions because you're not admitting.
Unaccountability.
You're not being accountable. So take account and say, yeah, this happened, it was wrong. And as a people now, let's move forward as a family. That we need this power first because politics is not allocation of resources. Politics for me, Jagero, is the authoritative allocation of capital. And that is very important because then capital,
which should not always be said, because I think it is one of the most egregious things to say that that is what politics is. But Odhiambo is talking about the reality of our politics. But the idealism of the same politics should not be what Odhiambo is saying.
Which is a bit unpalatable, but sometimes we have to also, measure our hands with what we need to really actually say. Should we be objective for the sake of it, or should we just, reflect back?
I believe that the people have allowed the politicians to go that route of Odhiambo, where the people do not actually go and tell the politicians that, look, these are our irreducible minimums. Because right now, they can go to Ruto and tell them that this is what we want. We want, as ODM, we want the deputy president position. That's what we want. But these same politicians are all coming from a locality, from a constituency. And what are the constituents telling them that is their irreducible minimums? We don't say. We do not have a road that is going to school, the other side of the river, but we do not tell our politicians about that. So I think that, yes, people like Odhiambo, and that is why he keeps getting this money from politicians. I mean, money in the sense of consultancy, to tell politicians that this is how you rule the people. You see, Odhiambo is one of those guys that should be lined up and be shot broad day because of the kind of ill that they have brought upon us.
I think Jagero is being sensational.
but okay, if you're going by your same logic, then it means that even Mount Kenya has failed to articulate themselves, because right now they are more focused on the grievance that one of their sons who was actually kicked out of government. They're not actually articulating that. Look, Ruto. We understand you kicked our son out. This is how life has been for us ever since that happened. The prices of goods, our coffee and majani chai, and that Rigiji used to narrate all around the year. That is not being articulated.
And that's what I'm saying. That as much as Jagero would like to go idealistic, Winston Churchill once said that a man in his 20s or a youth in his 20s will be considered crazy not to be an idealistic man. But as you hit your 40s like Jagero, you must now be practical and say that, okay, black and white no longer works. What works is the gray area. What can we do?
Color
grading. And unfortunately, at a very early age, I've come to that realization that normally things don't work black and white. They work in the gray area. Now, that said, we must now look at the question which I was talking about. That if you look at the reports in the media for the past 10 years, which part of the country has always received waivers on their goods, on their loans?
Mount Kenya.
Mount Kenya, yes.
Majani chai, coffee, macadamia, nini. The loans that they take from Agricultural Finance Corporation is always waived. You can also remember that the higher, if you look at Women Enterprise Fund, the highest subscription in terms of the loans has come from Mount Kenya.
43%.
43% actually. The other places, what is happening? Why are they not getting that? Today, where you come from, for example, the Luos, all of us on this table, where we come from, I believe Ochuka, even the land where your house is built, you don't have the title deed.
No, we do.
You do. You're very lucky. One of the few. He doesn't. The same to myself. Okay? The reason is very simple. Land is the biggest capital. But for you to be able to trade with your land, you should be having a title deed that you can deposit at a SACCO or at a bank, take a loan against it, and trade with it. That's what these people are doing in Mount Kenya. Their lands, title deed is a priority. They're always given. That's why they're able to have security to get loans. But us, we have remained as such because that focus has not been paid to us. Because whenever we held the Ministry of Lands under James Orengo, it was dismal performance. That's something that is known. And so people were not able still to rise to that position. What I'm simply trying to say, Jagero, in short, is that if these guys, these 7 ministers, go back to Mount Kenya, don't talk about fights, accept, and say, let us look at the bigger picture. You guys are taking loans now. In the next 5 years, something happens that you're not able to pay back these loans. If we don't have our guy, or if we don't have a president who is favorable to us, we're not going to receive waivers and we'll be auctioned. That is already a good siege mentality strategy. That this will be, wait a minute. It's not about regarding.
A good serenading strategy.
This is about us. This is about me. This is about the loan I've taken. There's a fear because loans normally fail. There's a fear that I can fail paying it. So then let's move, let's agree. Now such things, the challenge is the president does not have people like Jagero around him. They could have helped him to bring me on board. Number 3, Nyanza region. So Nyanza region is the new core. The incumbent, of course, is relying heavily on locking in this bloc. Success requires very high-stake mobilizations for me. And that's why the issue of zoning is nonsense. And Gladys Wanga, my friend, Opondo Kaluma, and that brigade must shut up on this issue of zoning. Because if they're truly meaning well for the president, they must allow Oduor Mutino to contest as an independent, supporting the president, Ochuka to contest as an MP in ODM, supporting the president. So that my 10,000 voters and his 10,001 voters
are united at the
apex, so that President Ruto gets the vote. The bigger picture here is the table. We must get the table. And this issue of zoning is going to deny us the table. Okay? So Gladys Wanga and your team, shut up on that question. That must not be a topic of discussion. It must be forgotten forthwith. Now, in terms of ground mobilization, it is true that in 2027, the Luo have nothing to make them go and vote.
Ochuka, do you believe so?
They have no incentive. One is most of us are still stuck in the euphoric state of either we are in government or we are not. So there's a conscience at play here. And then our MPs or our political actors within Luo Nyanza have not devised a good narrative that can actually put the basket back into Ruto's docket. And I think that's a big failure in terms of how ODM as a house has been fragmented. And then, of course, for most of the years, the rallying point has always been Raila Odinga. And you can see, if you look back at the history, last year the turnout was very dismal, 700,000 out of 2.1 million. That's a very dismal performance. And yet that was one of their sons. And to be honest, I don't think Ruto has achieved that incentive of like collectivizing the Luo community and saying this is what I can actually really offer for you, and you can actually start to see the result trickling into the communities that are unconsidered, so that they can have a reason to go vote for him.
Right. Yeah. So there's no reason at all for Luos to turn up and vote. There's no incentive.
It's neither here nor there.
It's neither here nor there. And number two in that rank, there's a fight that is ensuing currently. Some ODM MPs from Moabi met, and they did discuss at length the removal of Ray Omolo from his position. I think it is the most stupid thing that Luos can do. In fact, Dalmas Otieno, the only Luo who has ever owned a bank called the BT, and also an insurance firm called the BT Insurance, one time said that the biggest challenge with the Luos is Nyego. Nyego. I've said here before that you will never hear a Kalenjin talk badly against the other, and even if they do, it's a strategy. They're talking back at night. They're very nocturnal. But for us Luos, they're very nocturnal. Their meetings are discussed at night. For Kikuyus, they discuss as a team, and you see some front coming, and that's why you can even see in the regime, the seven are quiet, because the Kikuyu are talking. But for us Luos, Ray is sitting at a position that he has delivered technically things that we have not seen for the last 60 years since independence. You name it, roads, you name it, piers, you name it, whatever. He's delivered them. As one person, under the president, of course, the one coordinating this stuff. But somebody sitting down and saying that voter registration is becoming an issue, that they need the resources given to them. Now, that squabbling is going to deny ODM a chance at the table for deputy president.
Because what are they going to deliver?
This is a child that is young, looking at the fish pond and saying, when I grow up, I want to eat fish from the pond. But this snake that is guarding this vanguard of the pond, I must first crush it before I eat the fish. Do you think the snake is going to allow you?
Odhiambo Chuka, you know, this issue that Odhiambo is talking about is very annoying. We have Luo leaders that have been given so much money around the country since the promulgation of the new constitution in 2010. We have the government has dispensed almost 3.2 trillion to the county governments. And Luo Nyanza had a big share of that money. Nyongo has received even grants on top of the money that the government is giving them. And then there is the resources that they get from their own places. They have gotten a lot of those. You see, and this is the problem. We are just starting Luoland all the way from Siaya. We used to have a gentleman there, Odhiambo's friend, called Mr. what is his name? What is the name of the governor that was there before?
Rasanga. Quite a useless governor,
Very
of course.
useless.
Yeah.
No, then we got him out. He went away after. In fact, he would not have gone away if we did not. If a governor could come as many times as they want. Then we had this walking constitution in the name of Rengo, who I was being told that he never even used to sweep his office. They would just be sitting there in a very dirty office making stories.
That is sharp people.
I mean,
have you met sharp people?
Therefore, is saying that's a quality of sharpness. People.
I know you know that.
People who have got cockroaches in their offices.
They're misfits.
They're misfits.
They're misfits.
You don't get a misfit to run a government.
Well, I agree with you. Misfits should not run the government.
Yes.
They should be able to think.
They cannot be CEOs and administratives of government.
I agree.
Then you come to Kisumu, we get Nyong'o. Sometimes I sympathize with Nyong'o because he promised us so much, but I think at some point he became sick. And he became a thing. So he resorted to sweeping of Gingodinga Street. And that is all he did. Then you cross over to Migori. I don't know what is happening there. It's a beautiful place.
Very beautiful.
But I can't see what a governor is doing there. Then you go to Homa Bay, where practically the President of the Republic of Kenya and PS Raymond Omolo has done all those things. Nyasuna Wanga, his friend or her friend.
My friend.
Yes.
My friend. His friend.
Yes, his friend. He's been swallowing almost 13 billion.
But she's done something.
There's nothing she has done.
She's done a lot.
There's absolutely nothing she has done. She started some circles which have gone down to the floor.
Jagero,
she's talking about the ring road that was built by the president.
It is incorrect.
She's talking about
my apologies.
A ring road
it is incorrect.
that was built by Mr. Ruto.
It is
She's
incorrect.
talking about a pyre that was built by the military. She's talking about Kabunde Airport that was. This is the same lady who is claiming to love Luos, that is sitting down with MPs at night and calling for the kicking out of Raymond Omolo. It is so unfair. It is so unfair to us, the people of Nyanza. Very unfair. That the person that is holding, this is the same man that his grandfather did not like, and went and told President Ruto that if you want me to help you to take you from the fangs of Gachagua, you must kick this one out. That man has always remained there. Ruto has never touched that guy. Even when Oduor was being kicked out of government, okay, Ruto said that this one will not go. This one traveled with me everywhere. This one was with me everywhere. And now Luos are making a meeting at night. And the sole reason is so that Raymond Omolo can be kicked out of government. So that in their heads, we all lose. Because of voter registration. Because Raymond Omolo has done so much about voter registration in
Homa Bay.
In Homa Bay, they want to take what?
They want the mandate and the resource. Mandate and resource.
And it is so bad. And that is why Opondo Kaluma refused to shake his hands at the airport, because he's saying that Opondo Kaluma is brainless.
Something comes up here very, very critically.
Yeah.
Remember, back when Baba was still alive, there was an issue of if somebody stands for a seat and they approach the community like, "Yo, give me a governor's seat, give me a senator seat or an MP," then they would perpetuate that if they are given this particular responsibility, then there will be a resource in Baba's camp. Now that Baba is out, there is a nakedness that is coming up. And therefore, they have to manufacture a spectacle, which is what is happening with the PS Raymond Omolo.
Yes. And Ochuka, what they are also doing is trying to take that cloth of Raila.
Still hanging on to it.
And wear it. This is a Budonjoro, but they want to wear it. Somebody said that some of those leaders want to be Raila too fast. Raila started this thing in 1982. Going downwards. He has built this cloth all the way here.
Sometimes even clumsily.
Let's look at these two things mutually exclusively.
Okay.
I'm not supporting Wanga for overseeing, if at all she did, that meeting. I'm told it was a meeting of MPs.
Okay.
I don't think if Wanga was part of it, but if she was part of it, because fingers are pointing towards her, it is evil. It is evil for a community, because we are saying Kikuyus need to sit and talk and get their fair share of the government.
Yeah.
Kalenjins are not talking during the day. They're not even in the media. Guys are meeting in the night.
Yeah,
At who knows where.
Shut up.
Yes.
Murkomen does not.
It does not talk.
Speak with anybody anymore.
Exactly. So if Luos are there, and of course they are, we have Ray and whoever and Wandai and whoever, we can sit and bicker as a duel. You know, Luos also have duel.
Yes.
Let's bicker in duel. But when we come out, let's smile to the cameras. Okay? But that one should not mean, Jagero, that you must attack Wanga for not working. Because she has worked.
What has she done?
I'll mention for you.
What has she done?
Where I come from.
Okay.
Kabondo East, in Kabondo Kasipul constituency, there is something called the Rachonyo East Sub-County Hospital, which had been abandoned by every other government, including the government of Cyprian Awiti, who is somebody who comes from my area. Gladys Wanga equipped it, first refurbished it and equipped it. Now it's a 60-bed capacity sub-county hospital. That's a level 4.
Yeah.
Okay? So that is something she did for us in Kabondo. Number 2, in Oma Bay County, that Oma Bay County Teaching and Referral Hospital, you must have seen some gory images.
Yeah, especially for the morgue.
Especially for the morgue.
How much was that? How much was the hospital?
Of course, see, can I finish what I was talking?
No. Just take a how
much. I don't have the amounts, but can I finish? You asked me about the development, and I'm just saying.
How much was the hospital?
Of course, we can check it. You have a laptop. Okay. So, in terms of medical equipment, she did well in Homa Bay, buying a CT scan machine.
A CT scan machine.
Something as basic as CT scan.
So she has built a clinic in your constituency?
Not a clinic, level 4.
Level 4.
Yeah, level 4 is really high, Jagero.
Okay, how many?
It means that even surgeries in terms of CS.
She built it from the ground up?
She refurbished it and upgraded.
Refurbished and upgraded.
Which means there are wings which were built.
Fine.
Like, for example, the maternity, the male ward, the female ward. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then she bought us a
CT scan. Now, let me tell you why that is important.
No.
In the 10 years.
Do you know how much it is?
Well, CT scan is not an expensive machine.
How much?
It doesn't go beyond 50 million shillings.
50 million.
Okay.
Okay. So we have a refurbished hospital in Kabondo, and we have a
not only in Kabondo, in many other. I'm only mentioning a few which I have access to, which I have seen. Okay.
No,
you said she did nothing. So I'm just saying what she has done. And it's okay.
So what you know?
You know why I hold Wanga dearly to that extent.
Okay.
Is because our son Cyprian Achilaus Otieno Awiti Rabolo
one who used to walk without shoes.
Yes. In Maristops. You know? Cyprian
what
Achilaus.
Do you want here? Out.
Exactly. Cyprian Achilaus Otieno Awiti.
Okay.
Wasted our time for 10 years.
Okay.
And made Umbe the laughing stock of the country.
Yeah.
So whatever little that has been done to us, we appreciate.
Okay, so
we could be appearing desperate, but just allow us to.
So the third one?
The third one, good.
Okay.
The morgue that you're talking about has been done, yeah?
Yes.
If you come to education and human capital, we have Fins to Swim, a scholarship program which is costing 100 million.
100 million?
Of course, yeah?
Okay. Can you please put the date at the head back of your head?
Every other year.
Okay.
Then we have the early childhood education program, which there's a whole feeding program that she's running across. And then I can tell you it's very expensive. Feeding program is not cheap. We did it under Ranguma in Kisumu, and I know how much it cost.
How much?
It was going an upward of 300 million.
300 million.
Okay. Agriculture and industry revitalization.
Okay.
There's something she started called Pamba Mwandu program.
Yes, it ilianguka.
Haikuanguka, it is on, Jagero. I mean, really, it is on.
Okay.
She distributed 10 metric tons of high yielding cotton. In fact, it's called BT cotton.
Yes.
BT cotton matures faster than the other cotton which was there.
It's one for Egypt.
And now it is going to Rivertex.
Do you know the farms that are having that cotton?
Of course.
Because we know that story.
Of course.
Okay.
It is well known, Jagero.
So
don't do it. Don't do it.
You still want to say?
Don't do it.
You have got some others. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you intoxicated with the development already?
No.
Omabe is winning by a lot.
No.
They should stop the count.
Okay.
Of course, one of the biggest failures, which we must admit, is the Kigoto maize mill. That was a spectacular fail. Yes. But was effort placed? Was effort placed? Yes. There's a 44 million shilling modernization equipment, agricultural equipment modernization program, which she ran. Now you come to blue economy and urban renewal. There is the Governor's Park. You may not know what it means, but in urban design, cities that have or towns that have more green parks have less insecurity. That's why you would see a city like Nairobi investing heavily on protection of green spaces. Okay? And many more, Jagero. There are too many.
So, Chuka, the only economic stimuli.
You know Fundi Mangula program? Haikuanguka, it's going on.
The only economic facing project that Wanga has done is to give cotton seeds.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you, equitable share that Wanga was given was 8.17 billion. Wanga was given conditional grants and additional locations of 2.5 billion. Wanga was given own resource revenue, internal target of 500 million.
Which years overpassed?
Facility Improvement Fund,
yes.
FIF,
yes.
981 million.
Remember, she was not given that.
Equalization Fund, she was given 260 million. So, of all that money, she has only given cotton seeds.
No, Jagero. I think let's just go back. Let's just go back to your data. I have the advantage of having worked in the county. Okay. If you talk about FIF,
look at what.
If you talk about just a minute.
Have you had that hospital in Kabondo?
Yes, Rachonyo is sub-county.
And what else did you hear? The feeding program. But the woman pocketed 12 billion. And that is all she has done. And Odhiambo is here.
I think this is
about cotton seeds.
This is
10 billion.
This is demonstrating copious amounts of ignorance in terms of how our county operates. If you talk about Wanga receiving 8.1 billion, one thing you must know is that up to 70% of that 8.1 billion goes into the wage bill, which is salaries and operational costs.
How much percent?
70%. and it is not her making. Today, Jagero, you can't walk into the county.
Do you remember how many ghost workers Wanga had?
And that's what I'm saying. You can't walk into the county.
And how much did she allocate to our office?
That's what I'm saying. That these ghost workers and etc. These people were there and they're there, and it is something that needs to continue. But the reality is, there's also an actual presence of up to over 60% of legitimate people. Let's say 10% is bad. 60% are employed.
So Chuka.
I wish you allowed me to finish.
So Chuka. This lady is the lady governor is paying so much, 70% of 10 billion.
All counties.
And the only economic facing project that she's doing is giving cotton seeds.
No, that's why you're getting it wrong. It is not the only project she's doing. The expansion of roads in Homa Bay, the maraming and maintenance of those roads is an economic activity. Okay? The availing of loans for people to come and take from the Department of Trade is an economic activity. The improvement of agriculture by giving people seeds. Even, I think last week or the other week, she was giving seeds. Saniji Komo. That is an economic activity, Jagero. Raising money for circles, like the women's circle that she did in Rodi Kopany. That's an economic activity. Let us not say that 8.1 billion was money that was given to somebody Nakakola. 8.1 billion is money that was given to run the county. Wanga, last time I was coming here, I remember me telling that some people I met at the airport who were very angry at you for abusing Wanga's wig. Okay?
No, it was only.
I must tell you, it is you who abused Wanga's wig.
How do you abuse a wig?
Those guys work for the revenue board that Wanga created. That revenue board has now raised own source revenue from a paltry 300 million when Wanga came in to 1.4 billion just the other week. Now, if that is not work, Jagero, then I don't know if you know how a county works. So that is something that you cannot take away from Wanga.
We digress.
I'm sorry.
But Wanga has paid 7.9 billion of her budget to salaries. 7.9 billion. That is 8 billion to salaries.
Legally.
But she has got ghost workers, and she's giving out.
Show me a county that does not have
cotton seeds to people who necessarily do not have.
Show me a county that does not have ghost workers. Show me a government that does not have ghost workers.
The question
is this a case of misapplied priorities? Because then again, if you're looking at cotton, yes, of course, if you map Homa Bay County, it is one of the counties that is supposed to actually produce cotton for the county, sorry. But then again, I'm looking at all the other things that could have been done within Homa Bay, and I'm not looking at cotton being at the top of it.
Yeah.
What else should have been done?
Blue economy, for example.
Thank you.
Fishing and
it's under who? Let's talk about it.
Okay.
We can have that conversation.
Okay.
I can tell you, for blue economy, you need a policy shift in terms of public end of handling or fish cage farming. Today, the biggest fish cage farm is called Victoria Farms.
Yes.
I think it's owned by Caesar Asio.
Asio, yes.
Okay? You see it everywhere. Right from Kisumu to Nairobi, you will see Victoria Farm somewhere. This is a private individual who is doing his bit to improve the blue economy there. Now, the government, the MCS, for example, and that's what I was saying, there's need for a regional college kind of thinking between the counties that are sitting around the lake in terms of promoting fish cage farming. Because we have the Winam Gulf, the 4-5 counties. It cannot be the responsibility of Homa Bay alone to talk about fishing.
Advantage, actually.
Exactly, it's a comparative advantage. Now, the president and who is the minister for blue economy again? Is it Joho?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
I'm not so
I'm not sure.
It's
Joho.
It's Joho, yes. I think it is mining. Mining is the under blue economy.
I'm not sure. We'll find out. So
people of the internet will probably say
yeah.
that.
So if it is Joho and whoever that is there, then there should be a national scale policy and what I call sort of an affirmative action towards fish cage farming. Okay? If you talk about blue economy, we talk about lake transport. Today, we have Kindu Paya, reconstructed under the national government. We have Homa Bay Paya, reconstructed under the national government. We have Kisumu Paya, redone under Uhuru. We have Usenge being done now under Ruto, and many more. Nyanza has done its own. They've even constructed their own ship. So we are about to see it revitalized. That's the kind of collegiate thinking that we need to have around blue economy. So you cannot say, Jagero, ultimately, that one person called Wanga must carry the load of Luos.
You see, Odhiambo,
she can only initiate.
What I am saying,
right.
If Wanga were to be quiet
yes,
and take off with the Homa Bay County money, we would not be having a problem. The problem that Wanga is having is that Wanga is all over the place. She's the same person that is at the ODM headquarters, making sure that everything happens. She's the one that is bringing that these MPs were being told that she's the one who's gathering them. I mean, yesterday we talked about the issue of Raymond Omolo, and one of the people on the panel, I don't know, appeared to have been working for the county government of Obey, received a call and was told to report to the office and hand over, and they were fired immediately after the event. That's somebody that did not talk about anything. So, Odhiambo, I think that what I'm saying, and I don't think we are prosecuting Wanga, but what we were talking about, Luo leaders and how they behave. I think that was the main point.
Correct, I agree. We deviated quite much.
We deviated so much to Wanga. But what I am saying is that for how long will Luo leaders behave even after Raila has left us? Because at some point we were saying, okay, you are in the hands of a puppeteer that we do not understand. But now that they are gone, let's be serious about these things. You as a governor is not working. Number one, somebody else at the helm of the government is bringing you a paya, is bringing you the ring road, is bringing you all these things. But you are also having a meeting at night for this same person to be removed from the government. That's the way we want to attack.
Shooting yourself on the foot. Is that the case?
Yes. That is what we are working about. Now, right now, everybody that has been thrown out of ODM is crying in the entire Luo Nyanza because they know that they cannot be able to get the ticket for ODM. But also the same Luo leaders are telling Ruto that they don't want UDA in Nyanza.
And that's what we are talking against, that Wanga must stop it. As the chairperson of ODM, and I'm not supporting on that. I've said it clearly. She's my friend. I talked to her and I told her zoning is nonsense. It must stop. Let us go so that the president gets the table. Once we get the table, we can talk.
If you say we're the biggest party in the south of River Limpopo, I don't know the exact way of how they say it. Why don't you just be confident that you've got a strong party?
Jagero, can I tell you something? I think it's a very lazy thinking within ODM. And this I experienced in 2017, December 2022. When I approached the table of ODM to share whatever I had, I was dismissed to be a non-entity. I was dismissed to know nothing. When the thing came full circle, again, they came to me and my Professor Okeda, and we helped them at the Supreme Court through one of our experts who presented the whole data there. In 2022, I saw the same thing again. There is that lack of reliance on strategists. They go with their chest. And if you go with, if you go with your chest, you will not win. You must go with your brain. And at this moment, it is something that is important for us to say here, that as the Luo community, we must avoid being petty. We must avoid nyego. We must hold each other's hands and know and remember the words of Jacoyo Midiwo, that you Luos, the day Raila will die, you will see mudo. We don't want to see that mudo.
You see darkness.
Because when Ray is not there, when Wanga is not there, when Opi Wandai is not there, we will not even have a chance to even say we have bad leaders within the government. I'd rather we hold ourselves and go back into a conclave duel and talk as Jokangato and agree that this is how we are approaching the table. And that table that we are going to must not exclude people like Edwin Sifuna. This bickering of letters left, right, and center between Wanga and Sifuna must also come to a stop. Because you are not wiser than Raila. Who saw it wise to have Edwin Sifuna as his exit strategy? And there's a popular saying in Luo that Jokadako achiel, okdilok acha achiel. People or the children of one house cannot travel to the other side using one boat. It is something that we know as Luos, it's our culture. People like my friend Governor Wanga, on this, I fault her and I call her out on it. We cannot afford to fight Ray. We cannot afford to fight ourselves. We must pull ourselves together and say, once we are together as Luos, okay, the same way Kikuyus are going to be together, and I can tell you, the same way Kalenjins are together, the same way Coastarians are talking together with the 9.6% of the national vote, they're talking, okay? We can come to the president and say, you know what? We have the numbers now. But if we go disintegrated, a house that is divided can never stand against the enemy. And that is what we are getting ourselves into. We must call ourselves and say one word or two words. Ochuka, let us grow up.
Back to Gachagua, the ambassador, you finish.
Lower Eastern is coming in at 1.7 million votes. Okay? This is where the incumbent will get nothing, of course, because they always vote up to the last man. So Kalonzo is contesting on this ground that the Kamba vote is always 10% of the national vote, which means the president is getting nothing basically out of it. And if he has to get something, he has to dig in 25%. So the Kamba vote is out. Coast and assaults, and this is the most interesting part, which I thought that maybe Ruto is capitalizing on, that in 2027, he goes into a different strategy. I talked about it yesterday, and I want to introduce it again today. Something I call the dead cat theory. You know, when you sit with guests in the house, Jagero, and very respectable guests, they're talking about very interesting stuff, or even if there's disagreement. Let's say, for example, it's an in-laws meeting. You went to your in-law and there's disagreement, you know, ulifukuza bibi, ama bibi alitoroka. Na umeenda kuongea hapo. Then the cat comes in. You know, cats like bringing people gifts. Yes. And cats bring you very funny gifts. They've killed a mouse, very smelly mouse, and they're bringing it. The conversation changes from the issue to what the cat has brought. Yes. And that is what I think President Ruto is going to do. He's going to adopt the dead cat theory, or the dead cat concept, and introduce the Muslim vote question in 2027. Because Kenya is 85% Christian, 15% Muslim. It is very difficult to bring Coast and Northeastern and Eastleigh together. It's very difficult. But there's a point where they meet.
Joining hip somewhere.
Yes, where they meet is the Muslim vote. So you make sure that you have the Muslim vote, which is in total 15% of the total vote in Kenya, and bring them to the table. So once Ruto classifies that and has it, it goes as a neutral, as a very neutral vote. He can either choose to pick a deputy from there, which I don't think is effective. But it's a good step in the right direction. Nairobi has about 2.5 million potential votes in 2027. Nairobi is always predominantly opposition. It will go to the opposition. Ruto may get something, but largely the opposition. So now that said, it brings us back to one thing, Jagero. Is Ruto willing to leave Mount Kenya and go to Nyanza and pick a deputy? As things stand to this bickering, I doubt.
Probably not.
Probably not. Oburu has also declared, we want nothing. We just want power.
Which is ambiguous.
Yes. The power they'll be given. Because as I can see, if we go to election in 2027, there are some of these ODM bigwigs who will lose that election.
And they'll have to find a crevice somewhere.
So that crevice is going to be ministerial appointments. And that is what they've already seen because they know the reality. They are not there because of popular support. They're there because mikono yao ilishikwa ikainuliwa. And they're going to lose if they try contesting. They're going to try contesting, of course. Then they have to go to there. So Ruto then has one option remaining. And that is going back to Mount Kenya. And in Mount Kenya, he's going to play a new card. So I've said there's the most impossible card, but now Mount Kenya is the most feasible card again for me in terms of voter turnout. He can choose to bring in Cecil Mbarire, who is a very moderate human being, the governor of Embu, and have Cecil Mbarire as the deputy president because he has indicated before that 2027 he'll have a female running mate. Cecil Mbarire, of course, will rally up about 1 million of the votes. That is the Mount Kenya East. And she goes on a charm offensive because Kikuyus don't fight women. I want you to know that. Kikuyus don't fight women. They never. Show me one woman Kikuyus have ever fought that you know. There's in the regime or that is otherwise. They don't fight women. Unless there is some evil people like the ones in Meru who push that woman out of power, that Kawira lady. She went kabisa because also her attitude was quite stinky. You could see she was not very relational with these people, and Meru is largely patriarchal. But Cecil Mbarire gives feminine. She gives consultative. She comes in with a wealth of experience, and she comes in as a chairperson of UDA, national chairperson. She's able to go on a charm offensive basically and talk to the Kikuyus with the narrative I was talking about.
Yes, that narrative.
Yes, that let us now look at the bigger picture. It is true things have happened, but we are getting 50%. If you tell Kikuyus, you still have a 50%. They won't refuse to vote you. If they decide to be emotional, Uhuru will again remind them later, Seniliwambia. But they don't want Seniliwambia. So they have to either accept this trade-off or lose entirely.
So what do they get from Mbarire exactly?
Deputy president and half of the government. Because ODM as is today is not giving that power.
Lois Baraza is saying that what Sicily can bring is what Kindiki can bring.
That's right. That I agree. But she can bring further than Kindiki. Being a woman card is very powerful.
For the east and the west.
Yes. A woman card is very powerful for a deputy president. Because it will not only bring this issue of, Kindiki is more facing off with who? With Gachagua. But as we say in Luo, if two bulls are fighting, what do? You introduce a cow.
Rhoda is saying that Odhiambo, Kikuyus have fought Karua hizi siku zote. Mbona unasema tuwezi fight mwanamke?
Siku gani? Because I remember Karua is the one who fought for Kikuyus by ensuring Kibaki got a second term.
No. They're fighting a woman. Kikula.
No, I don't think they. If your attitude is stinky, I think there could be a problem.
Somebody's saying, why not Waiguru?
Waiguru is also another character who is actually a possible card for me. Remember Waiguru was even being considered after the impeachment of Rigathi as a possible replacement. So she's getting done with her governorship at a very young age. I think Waiguru is about 58 or something. That's relatively young in African politics. So she's looking beyond what can become, and that is definitely the deputy president's position. So Ruto has either Waiguru, Wanga, who has to do a lot of work and reduce talking much, and Cecil Mbarire. That's where the deputy president comes from, and not Professor Kindiki. Kindiki will do a trade-off.
Somebody is saying the Muslim that the gender card and the Muslim card might actually get Ruto back to power.
Yeah.
What is this Muslim card?
The one I talked about, because Somalis are going for the deputy president in 2032. I can tell you that. Look at every town, even the audience that is watching. Any town you come from, even the smallest, there's a minimum there that has a Somali.
And they're already positioning for the presidency.
Yes,
ultimately.
they're already occupying the security apparatus of the country. They're in the intelligence, they're in the DCI, they were in the military sometimes back, they're there, Waku. So they know what happens, they know power.
Military, ile Adwale.
Ile Adwale, wakati Adwale. So these guys, 2032, they're looking for something. And Ruto opened the gates for them and said, wacha hiyo maneno ya kulipa pesa ya ID. Patia wa Somali wote IDs. It's a very
that has been one of the historical wounds.
Exactly. And Somali population has always been doctored in the census throughout. And they went to court and they won that case. And there's a case about recounting of Somalis because they've always been misrepresented. So these people are very powerful and they have the money.
The political capital.
And they have the political capital and they're ready to spend. So that Muslim card is a very powerful card. Yeah.
That was great. People of the internet are talking. Embu is a very small community. Roda is saying, I doubt if Mbarire can tilt the scale. Branson Odhiambo, you are qualified to speak on the Ummah. What does that mean?
You aren't qualified to speak on behalf of the Ummah, on behalf of the Somali, the Muslim community. Well, I agree. I'm not qualified. I'm just analyzing. I'm not speaking for them.
Not holding brief for them.
No, I'm not holding brief for them. I'm just analyzing.
Yes. Risk reward is saying Mount Kenya has 27% of total votes. Ruto aims for only 5 to 7% in Mount Kenya, and is in. Okay, Odhiambo, don't speak about things you don't know. I was part of the team that impeached Kawira. You have no idea.
I've said Kawira had a stinking attitude.
Yes, so I think that is the same. You were talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
John is saying Rigiji and Uhuru cannot watch that Sicily idea manifest
because they know it's a dangerous card.
Yeah. If Kikuyu's basis didn't have time for Karua, a seasoned politician as a running mate, who told you they will have time for Cecil Mbarire?
Is their own loss?
Yeah.
We don't talk about things that will help them.
Okay. Martha is responding to somebody that I don't know. Given the money-based nature of our politics, I support zoning. I don't know what that means. 2.0 is saying, even right now, you go to social media, someone is busy disparaging Luos. Why only Luos? Okay, why are they disparaging Luos? Where is Joachim Zimiu? Joachim Zimiu, I am going to have a meeting with the party leader, Jagero. This evening I will unfortunately I will not be able to join you. I wish you the best with Odhiambo and Mr. Ochoka. That's what he told you.
That was his message.
Yeah, so 2.8 is saying, why is no one answering me? Why is everyone so concerned with Luos, yet we don't have numbers? Neither do we turn out to vote as they claim. Kenya has more than 80 tribes. Why is this? Do we have
what is he saying? Read the question again.
It's difficult to understand, Odhiambo.
Sort of, he seems to be speaking that the Luo vote is so small in considerable, and how we vote also is also very small.
It is a fact that Luos generally have 2.2 million votes of this country, and that is a considerable 11% of the voting bloc.
More than Kamba, more than Coast.
Of course. And the challenge is that Luos normally don't turn up to vote. If Raila, who was doing a final stab,
could not achieve that.
How about Ruto? What is this thing that is so special about him that's going to make the Luos turn out to vote? And that's what I'm saying. There must be an adoption of a new strategy, that these guys leave it open, that everybody practices and exercises democracy.
Ochoka, for me, I have a feeling that Luos are going to come out in their numbers and vote this time round.
For what?
What is the reason?
Because their candidates are all going to be on the ballot.
The market is open.
The only thing that is going to happen, which is the only thing that will cause Luos to remain at home and tend to their kettles and drink tea and jugu,
is zoning. That's the truth.
Because then if Ochuka is one of the people that, look at Opande is somebody in Nyakach who has always been loved by a lot of people.
Yeah, very much loved.
But once you kick him out of ODM, he goes away.
That steam goes away.
Yes, he goes away and squats in his own house during elections.
And apathy
and
kicks in.
hundreds of people that were following him says, okay, you go and vote your own candidate, CC20. So when you have several thousands of people not turning out to vote in a ward because their preferred candidate has opted out of the race, so they will just remain at home.
Yeah.
But if Opande knows that, okay, I am not in ODM, but I'm going to go there with another party, all his guys are going to come out and vote. The guys for ODM are going to come out and vote. Then the guys that have the independent ticket are going to come out and vote. Everybody is coming to, it's a show.
Yeah.
Who is going to win?
So it's what the other is saying, leave room for tea. For us to have tea and chat and have a conversation.
Correct.
You see, because
to be honest with you, UDA has really gone into Nyanza.
Yeah.
And the reason why UDA has made so much inroads in in Nyanza is ODM's making.
True.
Yes,
very
it's
true.
ODM's making that
abuse of the voter.
Yeah, abuse of the voter. Where these people are showing up with a tablet and telling you to nominate somebody,
and there's nothing happening.
Wanakuambia finya. Even in a tablet, when you finya something, there has to be an activity. When you finya on this thing, something happened. ODM unafinya jina ya mtu na screen ya kuangalia tu.
Can I tell you?
Yes.
Let me close it. Let me tell you, Jagero.
Yeah.
2022 nominations of ODM. We already got wind because I was managing Ojenda's campaign then. That there's not going to be a nomination. It's going to be a sham.
Okay.
Some 6 smart boys were taken to Mombasa to clone the original system that was proposed for nomination. So that system that was cloned was going to give a public face, an impression that a voting is going to happen. So as we knew that ODM will never give Ojenda a chance to be the senator. So the reality is that everybody was rigging. Anybody who you saw winning in that election, it's either you are smart enough to rig the nomination or you had a copy from the other side in terms of the Raila guy approved you. Okay? Those who are smart enough established a small center somewhere, and we did our thing, and they found us in the server.
See? Sasa unaona hii kitu.
Is admitting on national television.
Of course. I'm simply saying whatever he's saying is true.
I've always called Odhiambo propagandist, and you think I've always lied.
He wears the cape very well. He has not denied it.
I've never denied it.
It is very factual.
You know, strategy, Jagero. If you have to be at the table that we want Ruto to continue having, we must ensure the table is there.
Yeah. People of the internet, it has been amazing having you guys here. Thank you very much for joining us on this duel, which we call the Fireside Chat, where I chat with eminent Kenyans. Eminent Kenyans, and those eminent Kenyans are Mr. Odhiambo, political pundit, a consultant. Odhiambo, it is time for you to tell us what you do and how you help people. I think people want to vie for MCAs, for MPs, are looking at you and saying, how can I use Odhiambo's head? How do they do that?
We do that by simply talking to each other and understanding what we can help you with. Of course, my number is always out there, 0104341733. Or we can talk via email, info@odhiambootieno.com. Thank you very much.
Great. I was in the studio also with the Mondio Choka, the Mwalimu.
The Don.
Today, thank you very much for joining me. People of the internet, if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe and hit on that notification bell so that when we have another session coming at 7:30, you'll be notified. We are also on social media, Facebook, everywhere else you get your social media dose. Until another episode, bye for now.
You work so hard. You show up every day. You do what's expected of you. But deep down, you know the truth. One paycheck shouldn't decide how your life turns out. But what if your evenings meant progress? What if your weekends built freedom? What if your laptop became more than just a screen? This isn't about quitting your job. It's about giving yourself options. While others scroll, you start building. Quietly, consistently, and on your own terms. No pressure, no guessing. Just a clear system you can run after work, before work, or whenever life gives you a turn. That's what Goldmine on hustlesafrica.com is for.